Christmas Cookie Crumbles, A Space Janitor Christmas Story by Julia Huni. Narrated by the author. Copyright 2021. When even the cleaning bots are asleep, you know it's late. Unfortunately, babies don't seem to understand that. I sit on Kara's couch at Oh Dark Something, rocking her 4-month-old baby, Freya. She giggles at me and grabs for a strand of my red corkscrew hair. Knowing she'll shove it in her mouth, I learned the hard way a few hours ago, I flip it over my shoulder and give her a toy instead. Ty O'Neill, my shiny new husband, sits beside me and hands me a mug of hot cocoa with a peppermint stick stirrer.
Triana, tell me again why we agreed to do this.
I yawn, then gulp some creamy sweet chocolate. You used Dav's secret recipe, didn't you?
If it's item number 1 on the auto kitchen menu, then yes. I'm surprised Dav let you make a molecular map of his secret recipe.
Wasn't me. He had Leo do it. Only Kara and I have copies. And maybe Elodie. We all had to pinky swear we wouldn't let anyone copy it. He sips from his own mug.
I can taste why. Is she ever going back to sleep?
Kara said it's her new thing, waking at 2 and playing until 6. I thought she was kidding. You can go back to bed. I rest my head against his shoulder so he knows I don't really mean it. He wraps a bright red and green plaid blanket around both of us and leans back in the corner, settling me against him.
Why don't you sing her a song? I remember my mother doing that to get the twins back to sleep.
I chuckle without humor. Me singing would more likely wake the dead. I'll tell her a story instead. I take a deep breath and try to make my voice as monotonous as possible. Once upon a time. Roger Wilco, the new recruit in the maintenance control center, pops his knuckles one after another.
I'm getting a dead zone.
The hollow crunches add a nerve-twitching counterpoint to the Christmas song playing in the background. In his 2 days with me, the habit has edged me closer and closer to a psychotic break.
Do you think psychotic break is appropriate for a baby's bedtime story?
Ty asks. She can't understand the words. It's the tone that's important.
She can't understand yet, but you know the saying, start as you mean to go on. If you get in the habit of telling stories like this, I'm a bit worried about our own children.
Good thing I have someone else's kid to practice on. Now hush and let me tell my story. I slide my chair next to Wilco's. Show me. He flicks the controls and pulls up a string of cams.
See here, these cams show as online, operating properly, but I'm not getting a vid. They're all grouped in this one section of level 28. Something is interfering with the signal.
I've seen something like this before. Is it moving?
Moving? How could it move?
Monitor the dead spot while you run system diagnostics. If any of the cams come back and the next one along the line goes out, let me know.
You think someone is hiding from our system? Is that tech available?
His hands fly through the screens, flicking and swishing, knuckles popping aside. He's shaping it nicely. Vanti has tech that will do that, and I know I could put something together, but I'm not telling him that. I'm not sure it's tech. I met someone last year who seemed to give off an anti-vid aura.
Wilco snorts. An aura that interferes with vid cams? Sounds pretty woo-woo to me.
I shrug. Let me know. I'll take a look if you can't figure it out.
Shouldn't we leave that to security?
If it is who I think it is, I want to talk to him. Besides, I'm pretty sure security would never find him. We work in silence for a few seconds, then the system pings. I flick the icon to respond. Maintenance, more.
Ops, Al Rashid Thompson.
Our supervisor, known among us maintenance techs as Rash, appears on screen.
I thought you'd have the new guy answering comms.
He's busy tracking down an anomaly. I nod at the cams down banner that appears across my screen. Which is probably why you're calling. Rash taps the arm of his chair.
Yup, cams down. Didn't we have this happen before?
Last Christmas.
You called it.
Wilco flicks a station map to me. This cam just came back online, but this one went down. The schematic shows a section of level 28. The newly restored cam blinks green. The next 3 show yellow. As I watch, a yellow one flicks to green, and another cam farther up the corridor flicks the other way. I jump up and swipe the map to my holoring. I'm gonna go check it out. Rash nods and closes the comm channel. I turn to Wilco. Keep sending this to me. I'll be back. I check my pockets for my toolkit, then exit the MCC. We've managed to keep the corridor clear of tinsel this year, although someone has posted a huge reindeer with blinking red nose on the repair shop door. I pat Rudolph's head, then open the thick airlock that separates us from the Level 2 concourse. Even though it's late at night, the concourse is humming. Usually, night shifts are quiet on Station Kelly Kornienko, but the week of Christmas is always an exception. The latest version of Space Santa plays through the speakers. His little red spaceship shoots across the sky. With 8 engines racing, just watch them fly. The little green men have been good all year. They're hoping Santa brings them some Yuletide beer. Space Santa, watch him fly. Space Santa, he's our guy. Cinnamon and Ginger fight with the stale scent of spilled wine and leftover turkey. The vendors selling sticky buns and candy have closed shop for the night, but a hearty group of partiers still occupies the central concourse. Inflatable reindeer and a huge sparkly sleigh hang from the ceiling. This year, someone has added a little green man with 3 eyes and a red scarf. Projected snow swirls in the air. I take the float tube up to level 28. It's quieter here, a more white-collar neighborhood. Glittering gold and white decorations hang in tasteful swags on the walls, and the concourse is devoid of partiers. These people have to work in the morning. To be fair, the folks down on 2 have to work tomorrow too, but they don't mind doing it hungover. I turn down radial 3 and move to ring C. The map in my hand blinks as I get closer to the down cams, but there's no one here. Odd. I flick my comm and call Wilco. Has the dead zone moved? Nope, you're in it. I just watched you disappear off cam 28C7, and C8 is down. Where's the closest bot duct? Wilco flips through a few screens, then a section of wall on my schematic blinks red. About 2 meters from C8. You think the perp is inside? The perp? I roll my eyes. Have you been watching those cop vids on ancient TV? They're awesome! I flick my holo ring, and a panel pops away from the wall. I'm going inside to check it out. You're supposed to say, I'm going in. It's kind of a thing. Fine. I'm going in. I'll call you when I figure out what's going on. I close the connection, cutting him off mid-word. It would probably be smart to leave the call open, but I know what I'll find, and I don't want Wilco along as a witness. Nothing against him, but I don't know much about him, except that he's taking over my job in the MCC. I drop to my hands and knees and enter the bot duct, and squirm around to close the panel behind me. Why does he always pick the half-height ducts? I crawl to the first corner and look both directions. A young-looking man with flowing white blonde hair and a fine golden 5 o'clock shadow sits at the center of the duct, his bright blue eyes fixed on a child in an alien costume with a red scarf. Can't you pick out one of the taller ducks next time, Scott? I call out as I crawl closer. Triana, what are you doing here? He nods at the child, who climbs over his leg and disappears down the duct behind him. Where's your friend going? Kids shouldn't be wandering around in bot ducts. In fact, it goes against all the security regulations. Scott glances over his shoulder. Mio isn't a child, and they're not a security risk. Mio? Let me guess. He's an elf? I found Scott Calvin in the ducts just before Christmas last year. He had amnesia and needed help getting back to his ship. According to the station operating system, he's an ultra-high-level VIP. No one, not even the chair of the board, seems to know anything more about him. He also has a gift for picking the perfect Christmas gift. That, combined with his magnetic personality and innate ability to confuse the cams, convinced Kara he's really Santa Claus. I'm not sure I agree with her, but let's just say I'm leaving the question open. No, they're an alien. Scott rubs his stubble, then drops to all fours to crawl closer. They're doing a little job for me. I give him my best don't mess with me look. An alien? Like little green men? Didn't you see them? His eyebrow goes up. They're little and green, but not men, please. They can't be defined by human genders. Okay. I peer over his shoulder, but Mio has disappeared into the darkness. That shouldn't be possible. The system is set to recognize people and turn on the lights. Of course, if Scott is being straight with me, maybe Mio doesn't register as a human. Seriously? An alien? No one's discovered aliens, at least not sapient ones. Except on Durenti 4, and they aren't allowed off planet. He puts a hand over mine on the cold floor.
It's no big deal.
I yank my hand free. It most certainly is a big deal. I can't have aliens. He holds up a finger, and my arguments seem to evaporate from my brain.
It's not a big deal. Mio won't do anything to damage the station or anyone on it. They're simply running a little errand for me.
For some reason, this reassures me. After all, Scott Calvin is a VIP trusted by the highest levels of security in the station. If he says Mio can roam the bot ducts, who am I to argue? O'Neill jiggles me a little, and I twist around to look at him. What? You let an alien run around the station unsupervised? It's just a story, Ty. He raises one eyebrow.
Is it? Calvin was on the station yesterday.
But I wasn't working in the MCC. Don't get all paranoid. Let me finish my story. He maintains eye contact for a few more seconds, then leans back and settles me against him once more. I look down at Freya's intent face. She's stopped giggling and appears engrossed in the story, so I continue. I find a late-night coffee shop in the main concourse on level 28, and we grab seats. Scott taps the table, bringing up the menu. He selects festive cocoa, but I stick to coffee with lots of cream and sugar. I've got 4 more hours on my shift, and a little caffeine won't hurt. And some Christmas cookies. I pick the chocolate ones with the crinkly powdered sugar coating. With the order placed, Scott opens his mouth, but I hold up a hand. I need to call the MCC. At his nod, I flick the comm icon and connect. More here. Has the anomaly moved? Can you see me? Wilco's puzzled face appears. It's gone. He flicks a few things and shakes his head. All cam's operating normally. I can see you in the dockside perk. Who's the guy? I avoid Scott's eye as I reply. He's a VIP. Rash asked me to check with him before I came back to the MCC. Call me if you have any problems. Roger, Wilco. He grins as he signs off. One of these days, I need to ask him if his parents knew about the ancient communication slang when they named him. Why are you showing on the cams now? I wiggle my fingers. Your little futz with the cams thing turns off and on. Scott's lips twist in a tiny smirk.
That's my secret. But you, fibbing to a coworker, Triana? You won't get any gifts from Santa if you're on the naughty list.
A shadow crosses his face as he speaks, and he looks away. I reach across the table and touch his arm. I feel an almost uncontrollable urge to help him with whatever is bothering him. What's wrong? He sighs.
I've lost something important, and I need to find it. Now. Yesterday would be better.
The wait bot trundles up and delivers our order. I sip my coffee and add another spoonful of sugar, stirring carefully. What did you lose? It can't be as bad as losing your memory like last time. His lips twitch, but he shakes his head.
That was temporary, and Mary would have found me soon enough. Not that I don't appreciate your help, and you certainly made my stay on SK2 more comfortable. But this is something I need for work.
If you describe it, maybe I can help you locate it. I do have a certain ability, I wiggle my eyebrows comically, to track things down. He stirs the cocoa with a red and white striped candy stick.
It's a databank, about this big.
He cups his hands as if holding a small sphere.
I don't know how I could have lost it. I'm always very careful with the list.
The list? I let my eyes narrow and poke my spoon at him. The naughty and nice list? I grin. If you've lost the list, I don't have to worry about being on the wrong one.
Naughty and nice list? He shakes his head with a smirk. Who do you think I am, Santa?
Aren't you?
Do you think Santa is real?
Why are you answering all my questions with questions? I give my coffee a triumphant stir. You don't want to lie, so you're not answering. Who are you really, Scott Calvin? He sips his cocoa, as if unconcerned, but a wrinkle has settled between his brows.
Santa is a mythical character, Triana.
That doesn't mean he doesn't exist.
I think that's exactly what the definition implies.
Scott reaches toward the cookie plate, waiting for my nod before taking one. Help yourself, and you aren't fooling me this time. Just because the definition implies something doesn't mean it's true. I pick up a cookie, but pause before biting it. Where did you lose this valuable item?
That's the thing. I didn't lose it. 1 minute it was in my pocket, then the next it was gone.
He dunks his cookie in his cocoa and takes a bite. Since we're talking about definitions, isn't that exactly the definition of lose? I snatch the last cookie before he can grab it. That sounds like bad manners, but he can magic up a whole new plate if he wants, or just order one and charge it to the station account. Maybe there's a pickpocket on station. I assume it was lost here. Scott taps the table and orders a plate of snickerdoodles.
No, I lost it on Krippenhauk.
You lost it on the station orbiting Sally Ride, but you think you'll find it here, flying around Kaku. Why? I slurp up the last of my coffee.
I followed it here.
You have a tracker on it? He waggles his hand from side to side.
You could say that.
Then why not just track it down? Give me your code. I'll find it. I flick my hollow ring and crook my fingers at him.
It's not a code. It's a feeling.
He taps his temple, then his chest over his heart. You can feel that it's on SK2, but not where? He smiles, his breathtaking grin.
Exactly. Can you help me?
Wilco reports all systems nominal, so I follow Scott back to Radial 3. The doors of many of the compartments are decorated for the holiday, and at least 3 of them feature the 3-eyed alien with the red scarf. I point at one as we pass. Tell me about your friend, Mio. I've never seen aliens associated with Christmas before, but now they're all the rage. Scott blows out a couple of soft breaths that almost sound like ho ho ho, then shakes his head.
I can't tell you about them.
Can't or won't? I stop by the bot duct hatch, my hand hovering above the access panel, just far enough to not activate the hatch release. I don't have to help you, and I need to know if there are real aliens on my station. Actually, I don't care if they're aliens. I need to know if there are little green people running through my ducts. How did you make me forget about that?
Make you forget? How could I do that?
He waves his own hand over the access panel, and the door opens. I grab his hand, his big, ring-free hand. How did you open the maintenance hatch without a hollow ring? He squeezes my fingers.
I can't tell you that either. I don't know how it works, just that it does.
I gesture for him to lead the way through the duct. Ah, magic then. He crawls in ahead of me.
Don't be silly. This way.
I take a second to admire his very fine backside, then follow him into the duct. O'Neill does a snort laugh, dislodging me from my storytelling. You checked out Calvin's rear end? Sorry, was that inappropriate for a bedtime story?
Some women might hesitate to admit to ogling another man's assets in front of their new husband.
I wave my free hand and hope my hot cheeks are not visible in the dim room. Yours is better, so no harm, no foul. I can almost feel his eyes roll. Next time I won't mention it, but Freya needs to learn these things.
With Kara as her mother, I don't think she'll have any trouble learning these things. Please, continue.
Scott returns to the place where we first found him and sits cross-legged again. I shift back onto my butt and lean back against the wall. Maybe I can get a quick nap while he does his meditation thing. My eyes drift shut and strange visions of little green men carrying candy canes through the bot ducts pass through my mind. One of them, they are identical, but somehow I know this is Mio, takes my hand and pulls me to a ladder. We climb down, 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 much further than seems possible. Strangely, my legs and arms don't complain. We pass a hatch labeled Level 1 and keep going, which is ridiculous. Level 1 is the lowest on the station. At the bottom of that endless ladder, we drop into a big room with a low ceiling. It's only about 1.5 meters high, so I have to hunch over. Hundreds of little green beings fill the space. Many of them wear festive hats and scarves. Some carry Christmas decorations, as if they're getting ready to trim a tree. I peer over their heads, but there's no tree. They sing together in a soft chorus. I can't understand the words, but the melody sounds hauntingly familiar. One being drapes a red and white striped scarf around my neck, and another hands me a glass tree ornament. I cradle it in my hand, admiring the detailed painting of a tiny village, then carefully set it on a shelf by my head. More green people bring cookies, and I take a chocolate pinwheel. It tastes like glittering sunlight and happiness. The aliens sing a bit more, then they move as a group toward...
Triana.
I jerk upright. What?
Did you have a nice nap?
Scott stares intently at me, as if my answer to this question will reveal the secrets of the universe. I had a weird dream about little green people. His eyes bore into me.
Tell me about it.
They took me down below Level 1, to a party or something.
Then that's where we're going.
He snaps his fingers. I jerk awake. Did you hypnotize me?
No, I wouldn't do that without your consent.
But you know how. He smiles, his gentle, ageless smile.
Of course. Lead on.
Without thought, my body moves down a cross corridor. A tiny voice in the back of my mind asks me why I'm trying to take a mythical being to a level that doesn't exist to meet impossible aliens. But the rest of my brain, swimming in a faint haze of cinnamon, peppermint, and goodwill to all, ignores it. We reach a hatch and I wave my hollow ring at it. Nothing happens. Scott nudges my leg, so I crawl past it. He waves his hand at the panel, and it pops open. This should not be possible. Between my maintenance credentials and my status as the Morgan heir, I have access to everything on this station. How can a man without a hollow ring open doors I can't unlock? Hazy holiday me shrugs off the questions and follows Scott down the ladder. Like in the dream, we climb for a long time. I lose track of the levels after 10 or 12. I hope we aren't going all the way to level 1. Unlike the dream, my legs are shaking and my arms are screaming. My hands slip on the ladder rungs. We should have taken the float tube. My words echo weirdly along the ladder duct.
Float tubes don't go where we're going.
Scott's deep voice whispers in my ear, as if he's talking to me through an audio implant. But he doesn't have a hollow ring, so he can't be.
Not much further.
When we reach the bottom of the ladder, I collapse to the floor, my arms and legs like jelly. I close my eyes, breathing deeply until my heart rate returns to normal. Then I open my eyes and look around. We're in the impossible compartment. Like in the dream, it's huge but low. And it's empty and lit only by the light from the hatch. Scott prowls along the edge. It must be as wide as the concourses on the levels above. I can't believe I didn't know this existed. What's this space for? Scott turns, and suddenly he's right beside me. The room must be smaller than it looks. He couldn't have moved that quickly.
Where are the aliens?
That was a dream, Scott. I've got aliens on the subconscious. Probably from seeing them in all those decorations. They aren't real.
You saw Mio. They're real, trust me.
Bent over at the waist, he shuffles across the room again. What are you looking for? There's nothing here, not even dust. I rub a finger across the floor and it comes up clean. Odd, since I've never sent a bot down here. We try to keep the particulate level low on the station, but there's no way to eliminate dust completely. There should be a thick layer of it.
They sent us down here for a reason.
He appears beside me again, tapping his hand against his chest.
It's here. I can feel it. Tell me about the dream again. I need more detail.
I tell him about the singing, the cookies, the scarf, and the ornaments. He flings up a hand to stop me.
They gave you an ornament? Where did you put it?
On a shelf. It was conveniently located by my head. I turn to look at the wall behind me, but it's smooth and featureless.
He points at me. Were you sitting there?
I look at the ladder rising through the hatch, then around the space. No, I was over here. I crawl a few meters to my right and stare at the narrow ledge built into the wall. Scott makes a gimme motion. I reach out and take a palm-sized globe. It's got a hanger on top and is painted to depict a village in the snow, just like in the dream. Whoa! My brain spins into neutral and my mouth flaps, but no real words come out. Scott takes the ornament from my palm and holds it in front of his face. The sphere glows, a sparkling white gleam that smells like sunlight and happiness. His big hand closes around the globe, gently, and it seems to compress into nothingness.
Well done, Triana. Thank you.
His hand clasps my shoulder. I jerk awake. Blinking gritty eyes, I look around the dim bot duct. Scott smiles at me, his teeth gleaming and his brilliant blue eyes twinkling.
We got it. You're a miracle worker.
What the fork just happened? Scott shakes his blonde head.
No cussing. You don't want to get put on the naughty list.
It's not real cussing, I mutter.
Cussing is in the feeling behind the words, as much as the words themselves.
Scott rolls forward onto his hands and knees and crawls past me towards the hatch.
Although, to be fair, you're right. You don't really have the cuss feel behind those words.
I crawl through the hatch and straighten, every vertebra popping like Wilco's knuckles as I stretch. What happened?
I'm not sure I can explain. Let's call it a Christmas miracle. I got my, he smirks, list. Thanks to you.
But I didn't do anything, except fall asleep in the duct. I rub my eyes again, and have a really weird dream within a dream.
It's amazing where our dreams can take us.
He puts an arm around my shoulders and leads me toward the concourse.
Let's get you back to the MCC.
We reach the concourse and drop to level 2. The party has finally ended, and Wilco's got the bots sucking up party cups and spilled snacks. Scott and I weave through the chaos, stopping at the heavy portal leading to the maintenance section. He puts his hands on both my shoulders.
Thanks for your help, Triana.
I'm still not sure what I did. He pulls me into a bear hug.
You made the connection. You found the lost list.
I step back and point a finger at him. Fine, then you owe me. I want to know about the little green beings. Little green men?
Those are fiction. You've been having some crazy dreams.
He taps my nose with one finger.
Be good. See you later.
He turns and strides away, seeming to cover the 40 yards to the float tubes in 3 long strides. With one last wave, up the float tube he goes. I lean against the maintenance section hatch, staring at the wide, empty concourse. The last of the trash has been sucked into the vacubots, and they've departed for other parts of the station. Little puffs of faux snow hang from the top of the float tube entry, and the inflatable reindeer and sparkly sleigh still span the overhead. I wave my ring at the access panel, then stop and turn back. Something is different. I peer at the decorations, trying to put my finger on it, but nothing seems... Then it clicks. The little green man is missing. Scratching my head, I hurry back to the MCC. Wilco, pull up tonight's footage on the Level 2 concourse. Level 2? Wilco blinks and turns stiffly as if he's been asleep. He probably has. The night shift can be dead boring. He flicks a few icons, flings a view on the screen, and stifles a yawn. It's just a party, not even a very raucous one. They only called security twice. Was one of those times someone stealing the little green man? I drop into the seat beside him and shove my hair out of my face. Stealing what? He swipes a screen open. There was a guy offering to share his Christmas package with anyone who walked by, and an underage kid trying to score some booze. What little green man? The decorations. I stretch the vid, zooming in on the sleigh. Someone took the one that was tucked into Santa's sleigh. Wilco chuckles. I never noticed the LGM. That's funny. I double-check the timestamp and twist the vid, turning to look at different angles. It's not here. It wasn't here. I pull back and point at myself crossing the concourse. On-screen me stops to look at the sleigh and reindeer, then steps into the float tube. It's not there. You must have imagined it. I fast-forward and zip back, but I can't find the alien. It was never there. Wilco gives me a funny look. You feeling okay, Triana? Why don't you go home? We've only got another hour, and I can handle it. Plus, Remy promised to come by early so we'd have more time for the handoff. I rub my eyes. Yeah, maybe I should go. I pat his shoulder. You're up to speed. Have a good Christmas, Wilco. You too. I make a detour by level 28, but there are no aliens on any of the doors in Radial 3, or on any of the other radials. Bewildered, I take the float tube up to level 82. The guard at the desk stops me and hands me a small holiday gift bag. This was left for you, Sarah Morgan. We've scanned it, and you're clear to take it upstairs. Thanks, Sergei. Who dropped it off? A tall blonde guy wearing red? No, a really short guy, wearing a red scarf. He holds his hand about a meter above the floor. Not many people that short on the station. You didn't recognize him? He was wearing... Sergei breaks off. I don't remember what he was wearing. Let me pull up the vids. That's okay. I think I know who it was. And he won't find anything on the vids. I let it slide, figuring we don't need anyone else befuddled by Scott's little green men. I take the float tube up to the penthouse level, then pause outside door A. The seal on the bag parts with a gentle pull, and I paw through the green and red tissue paper. Nestled in the bottom of the bag is a red and white striped scarf, and a single chocolate pinwheel cookie. She's asleep. I look down at the beautiful baby in my arms, then twist my neck to peer back at O'Neill. So are you. With a contented sigh, I tuck the ends of the red and white scarf around Freya and settle back into my husband's arms. Merry Christmas. If you enjoyed this story, find out more at juliahuney.com.